What's good, baseball community? Coach Jason with Arm Pitching Development, back for another segment, helping you amplify your mechanics and grow your pitching knowledge. You'll do this by hitting the subscribe button. Tonight we're going over how to pitch a baseball from A to Z, full pitching mechanics tutorial. Let's get it. All right, pitching mechanics from A to Z. We're gonna cover this from the start of it all the way to the end. So you'll wanna stay tuned and check every component out possible that I'm gonna give you guys tonight. Couple of things to note as we get into this video. When you're training an athlete, you're training a younger athlete or an older athlete, you have to know how they move and you have to respect what their body type is. All athletes are different and will react and train differently to different ideas and training methods. So when we're going, it's not really cookie cutter. We have to respect how they move, what makes them tick, and what's important is the foundation is laid and how they execute that is kind of their own style. When we talk about pitching mechanics from the start, we're going to go in from the wind-up position. From the wind-up position, here's the thing. If you want to pitch small, be small on the rubber from your presentation from the start. It matters how you look and how you carry yourself on the ball field. As a pitcher, I never wanted to be a small guy here and ready, set. I always wanted to make my frame as big as possible, as intimidating as possible when standing on the rubber. A little bit of trying to strike fear into my opponent, but also earn their respect a little bit that they had to compete against me and that I wasn't going to be a chump up here. So when I start, I offset my front feet or my 2 feet here just slightly angled off, okay? And there's a reason for this and I'm gonna go into that. The other part is on my chest side of my glove and the baseball, I always started up and I would kind of just peer or peek over the pitching glove, over my glove. So when I'm here, I would be as big as possible and try to just barely peek at them so they had to see my full frame. From this point, we go into our rocker step. All right, let's cover the rocker step because this is an easy one to get messed up. When you go into your rocker step, I see guys that will leak a lot of energy back out and then try to bring that energy back in. There's a couple of problems with this. Mostly in my book, from arm pitching development perspective, is you lose eyesight from where you're trying to throw the ball. So your focus, your intent, your commitment, and earning the feedback are extremely important to what you're trying to accomplish and to how you're going to accomplish it. So when we're starting out here in front frame from the windup, the rocker step is very minimal for me. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a start here. So once I get my start out, then I pivot my right foot into the rubber. If you can come over here and see it, I'm slightly off the rubber from my heels perspective and I try to stay in and connected as long as possible. So once we have that set up here, rocker step out, my eyes are always focused on the target from start to finish on this. From the rocker step up is your load point. Okay, from the load point. For me, I always like to load up as high as I possibly could. Why? Because I felt like it helped me start my engine better. It helped me fire and go forward at a faster manner. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I'm not sure, but that's what it made me feel like. And it gave me a bigger body presence on the mound when I was going to attack my opponent and throw and execute the pitch. Going back to this, like 90 degrees or better in my book. Once you get off of that, you're gonna go into a low balance break position. Before I get to that though, I have a little bit of a hip float, okay? So what I'm going to present, once I come up, I start to drop my hip forward before I drop my front leg down. It's really subtle, it's not much, but it helps start my energy going forward from off the rubber, heading out towards the catcher. So load, hip float, then down to low balance break, okay? On the low balance break, let's think about this. If you move slow, you'll probably throw slow. So I like to think of my low balance break point as trying to kickstart a motorcycle. If you try to kickstart a motorcycle slowly or without a lot of energy, you're probably not going to get it started. So when we're up here at our load point, I try to fire down as fast as possible or as hard as possible to execute into stride and separation phase through my mechanics. So if you'll execute this a little bit stronger, that may help you. Hip float out. Now we're going to head into the stride and separation phase of our mechanics. We're going to lead out. I'm going to stay over my back leg as long as possible with my handbrake here. I brake just around underneath my chest line. When I brake my hands, I brake with my thumbs down and staying on top of the ball here, slightly rounded, and brake upward. As I go into stride and separation here, a couple of things happen. Talking about engagement from the back leg. On your approach to home plate, I try to be as strong as I'm coming down and pushing energy, trying to get my energy from the ground into my quad, into my hip, and firing out as strong as possible. So I try not to leak a lot of energy going forward. I try to stay in a straight line. So when we talk about 3 key components to pitching mechanics, balance being 1, direction being number 2, and timing being number 3, those are extremely important core components to pitch by. The direction I'm going on the path is going to help me execute a more accurate pitch at the end of the day. Balance for me has to do with not just static balance like standing here like a statue. It's important to have strength. Balance and strength kind of work together hand in hand. I'm more interested in the dynamic balance of how you move. Dynamic balance has to do with how strong am I as I'm carrying myself going forward to home plate. So if you'll work on your balance and dynamic balance, then you'll work on your directional piece here as you're going out and taking a straighter line, the better execution you'll have on your pitch. The other component of that is rhythm and timing. So rhythm has to do with the timing, the rhythm, and the feel of your body in motion and the reaction and how you feel while it's in motion. And then at what point are we meeting all the key core components to deliver this pitch at the right moment in time to have it well executed. So going back to stride and separation here, on my glove hand as I'm striding out, external rotation is going to be extremely important on the front side. External is the back side of your hip, right? The better I can sit in this movement or this plane of motion, the more flexible, the more mobile I am, the stronger I'm going to deliver this pitch. Again, internal from the back hip, I try to drive up and out from my back leg, from my back hip, and I try to extend this as far forward over my front side as I can through the pitch. There's some other things I need to cover with this, couple of things. The glove side, when I come out into stride and separation, I like to throw my thumb upward and try to lift the catcher up as best I can. This helps me sit into my back hip hinge just a little bit better and stay behind the baseball a little bit longer as I'm going to pitch. So this is my take on the front side, and then I try to think of it as like you're driving a vehicle and your steering wheel. So when I take my steering wheel, I try to drive the steering wheel forward to keep a straighter line versus taking this off and buckling off to the left side, which you will crash your car if you do that. So I don't want to pull away, I want to stay centered up with my target. Now from the arm side, stride and separation here, there's a lot of different takes from arm position. This is one of those moments where I feel like athletes need to define themselves on where they feel comfortable on the handbrake into arm spiral. And for me, it's about like a 120 here into about a 45 when I land. The other part is, when you're going into stride and separation, you want to keep your chest closed as long as possible. What do I mean by that? As you're delivering and opening up your front hip into external hip rotation, I keep my chest back and in like this, getting ready to strike. Why is that? Because I want the strength of the spin of my hips to help me take all my energy forward, all my kinetic energy forward to delivering the pitch. So as fast as I can spin my hips usually will dictate how fast I can deliver the pitch to home plate. So maximizing my kinetic energy as I'm coming out to this point. Again, lift up, drive through. Now we go into a transition piece here where I've squared up with my target. I brought my back hip, slightly bent back knee, just to help me kind of get some push off from the rubber heading towards home plate. You want to be as square as possible. Now this is a little tricky because a lot of times you'll see guys fall into arm drag, especially if you're training younger guys. What we want to do is act or pretend or think about like we're getting into a car crash and the seatbelt has come on our chest line. Here we're crashing the car. This is going to stay back and allow the arm to speed up and run ahead of your body. So it's crashing through the windshield while your front chest or your chest is staying behind the baseball as best it can, as long as it can. Once I get out here to the delivery point from our transition to the hips phase, I'll throw and deliver the pitch here out front. I'm usually about 1 or 2 feet in front of my front foot on the delivery. Okay, so you want to be extending your stride length, which brings me to another point about stride length. I say stride length is around 80 to 100% of your body height. As long as I can carry my stride length out, it's going to keep me on the course of the delivery of my pitch as long as possible. All bodies are a little bit different. Going back to that point where I said everybody's a little different, we have to respect that some people may have shorter torsos or longer torsos and shorter legs. So it might not always match their body height if you have shorter legs. So you want to do this to the best of your ability in your stride, somewhere between 80 and 100% of your stride length. If you're getting past 100% of your stride and you're successful, congratulations, because it's really tough and you are a freak show. All right, so once we get off of the transition, the throw, we're gonna head into the finish phase here. Throw the pitch, eyes on frame, center of my chest goes through my target, reach through. At that point, after I've released here, keeping my chain connected as long as possible, I pull down on the pitch and then I lift up my backside here. There's a couple of takes on the follow through, right? The follow through, I like to think of a couple of things. One, I'm trying to take my back heel up over my right ear as a right-handed thrower and get it through as far as possible and as hard as possible, delivering the pitch. The other part is I'm trying to take my back hip and I'm trying to get it through the catcher as well. So I have all my energy and momentum going through the catcher. So here, out, throw, deliver, and then on the follow through, I like to bend down and bring it over a little bit better, keeping my momentum and having all my energy going through home plate to deliver the pitch. Now we got to go into the stretch. Couple of things about the stretch, because most of it matches. On your set stance from the set position, stretch position, couple of things. I like an offset foot, okay? So this is about 2 to 3 inches in front of my back toe here. All right, my hip width here on my set stance is about 1 to 2 inches outside of my hips. So my recommendation to you working from the stretch is staying around hip to 1 or 2 inches outside of that in a good athletic posture. I like to be load into my back leg, okay? What I mean by load is I'm shifting my weight back to where my hip matches a straight line down to the back side of my foot here on the rubber. So this is my load or engagement point here. And on my knee, I like to keep it over my toe or somewhere in line with that. Now, when we go into our delivery phase, I park my hands just under my chest line where I want to begin my break from. I do like to have freedom in the hands, so when you go to load here from your front side of your leg lift, this works together like pulling a string where you're pulling your leg up, right? And then we fire, we kick our motorcycle, and then we deliver out. The reason I like to load the back leg versus just standing in the center is it lets me promote a little more energy driving out towards home plate. So I feel like I'm a stronger pitcher staying over my back leg as long as possible. So once we go here and you have your set stance, a couple of things. If there's nobody on, it's fine to have a bigger load point. If you want to be a guy that pitches out of the stretch position all the time, more power to you. From the load point here, if there's runners on, you don't want to fully commit 100% here, because now we're stalling and dragging time out for base runners to execute their steal position. What we want to do is give our catcher the best possible opportunity to throw a guy out if he's going to steal on us. The runners are your responsibility as a pitcher. So once we get here, I'm pretty shallow. I get up to just about start point, about 6 inches off the ground, and then I turn my hip inward and drive my hip forward to home plate. Once I get down, I try to get into external rotation as best as possible. I'm about a 45-degree landing point with my front toe, so it's slightly off. But when I go to pitch, I can still get inside of my hips pretty well. Which leads me to another thing, going back to the balance point, the load point. When you're loaded up here, try to keep your chin over your abdominals as best as possible, staying inside of your draw here, inside of your abdominals, versus leaning backwards. If you're leaning backwards, you'll have some hip strength issues, quite possibly. So you'll want to try to carry yourself inside of your core as you're delivering your pitch in a straight line. Once you start leaking back, your line is no longer existent. You've changed it off course. So from this point here, hips out, stride and separation. Again, my ball's at about a 45 when I'm in the cock position here, and I'm ready to transpire or deliver the pitch. I rotate my spine, I rotate my thoracic spine going forward and down this way. Try to keep your eyes up and your head up as long as possible all the way through the delivery of your pitch. The longer you can see it, usually the better the success rate of the pitch. So everything else pretty much stays the same from the stretch in conjunction with the windup. And that's pitching mechanics from A to Z from Arm Pitching Development. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. I really appreciate that. Hey, for more pitching tips, drills, exercises, and workouts, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for me. And also, if you like the content we shoot here, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. And until I shoot the next video, I look forward to seeing you next time.